Growing up, I was an Indian. But then, you're right, the Indians showed up from India. They said, you can't do that. Now, the term Indian was a very negative term, like savage. So instead of being called an Indian, they called us natives. Okay. But for me, growing up in the West End of Toronto, who were the natives? I don't know if today, I don't know if National Geographic, have you heard of National Geographic? Well, back in those days, there were all kinds of photographs of natives from Africa. And those natives from Africa were so primitive that they didn't even wear proper clothes, so the women were topless. And as young fellas, we always wanted to get our hands on those, oh wow. So, in other words, they changed the name, but the connotation of being primitive stayed with it. Well then, after a while, I guess people realized we're not really all that primitive, and more than likely the African people in the United States, by their starting to be seen as more equal, people stopped calling us natives. Instead, they called us aboriginals. And as a matter of fact, for 10 years, if you tuned into 106.5 FM, Aboriginal Voices Radio on All Talk Sunday, you heard me, so Aboriginal. Well, who are the Aborigines? They're the really primitive people of New Zealand and Australia. So the name changed, but still you're primitive. But now, Aboriginal, I guess, is okay, so they sort of have stopped calling us Aboriginals. Now it's indigenous. And indigenous, because you're the first people, say you're the main people from there. So how come we don't call British people indigenous? It's because, if you look at the definition, indigenous means people who are using their same, still following their same hunting and fishing patterns and things like that. So in other words, even in indigenous, the name has changed, but the connotations associated with it are still very, very negative.